The information contained herein is presented as potentially significant and therefore warrants public review or a formal hearing, the quickest and most effective way to either confirm or invalidate these claims. Reports describe more than one type of humanoid recovered. Observers and autopsy notes vary. Typical height reported, approximately 4 to 4.5 feet. One source estimated 6 feet. Typical weight reported, around 40 pounds, approximate. Head unusually large relative to torso by human standards, compared by one observer to the head of a 6-month human fetus. Eyes, too large, round eyes without visible pupils. Descriptions vary, almond-shaped, elongated, sunken/deep set, widely spaced, slightly slanted, sometimes described as owl-like. Ears, no visible earlobes or protruding external ear flesh. Nose, poorly defined, two small nostril-like apertures with little prominence. Mouth, small slit-like opening, without obvious lips, appears to open into a small oral cavity. Some observers suggested limited mouth function, possibly used for minimal ingestion or as a communication aperture. Hair, generally described as hairless or with only slight fuzz on the scalp. Neck described as thin, in some cases obscured by garments. Torso, small and thin relative to head, generally hairless. Observers reported pliable, stretchable body coverings. Arms, long, thin, reaching down toward the knee region. Hands, commonly 4 fingers and no thumb on one reported type, 2 fingers sometimes longer than the others. Reports conflict about presence of fingernails. A slight webbing between fingers was reported by some observers. Other reports indicate variants with more than 4 digits. Legs, short and thin. Feet, descriptions vary, some reports of feet with 2 large toes, others described as covered or unusual, one source likened a foot to an orangutan's. Color consistently reported not green. Colors reported include beige, tan, brown, pinkish gray, in some lighting described as blush gray. In 2 cases the bodies were charred to a dark brown. Texture described as leathery, reptilian, or rubbery, stretchable and elastic rather than striated human musculature. No sweating, no detectable body odor. No teeth observed in examined specimens. No obvious external reproductive organs or genitalia noted. The absence of sexual organs led at least one non-professional observer to speculate that these beings might not reproduce in human fashion. Possibilities suggested included asexual reproduction, cloning, or other unknown mechanisms. Brain, capacity and structure unclear from reports. Bodily fluid, a colorless liquid prevalent in bodies, described as lacking red blood cells and lymphocytes, and apparently not an oxygen carrier. No conventional blood or water was detected. Digestive system, no clear digestive tract, intestinal canal, or rectal area was described in available reports. No food or food storage was found aboard the recovered craft in the one retrieval explicitly noted. Musculature, no striated muscle similar to terrestrial skeletal muscle was described. Observers frequently stated the humanoids appeared formed from a mold, showing highly uniform external morphology across specimens. Lifespan, unknown. Multiple distinct humanoid types are reported. Anatomical variation may be greater across recovered specimens than among human subspecies. Several sources speculate that some specimens may be the product of non-sexual reproduction, for example, cloning, or are otherwise atrophied in reproductive structures. A channeled text by George Andrews, titled Taxonomy of Extraterrestrial Humanoids, includes speculative claims. It describes Rigelian humanoids allegedly collaborating with human agencies to develop pathogens, obtaining emotional highs telepathically from human experiences, and engaging in genetic manipulation throughout history. It asserts that Rigelians and Greys have abilities such as passing through matter and abducting humans, and describes conflicts between extraterrestrial groups, Rigelians, Greys, Blondes, associated with different star systems. The channel posits a universal intelligence matrix, an energetic informational substrate in which time and space are perceived differently by higher intelligence. It suggests UFO phenomena may be reflective or tailored to individual witnesses' beliefs, and that much reported data is engineered or misleading for reasons ranging from confusion to gradual preparation for higher truths. One type described is a short humanoid with a large head, alleged to originate around Rigel. These beings are said to have glandular dysfunctions attributed to ancient nuclear war, and to sustain themselves by extracting enzymes from mutilated animals. The text claims governments tolerate these activities in exchange for technology, though the usefulness of that technology is disputed. The material presents a mixture of anatomical observations, varying in consistency and credibility, and speculative channeled narratives. Because of the potential importance of such claims, an open, transparent, evidence-based review is recommended. Formal forensic documentation, independent laboratory testing, verified chain of custody, and peer review should be required before any definitive conclusions are drawn. They would not attack us with nuclear weapons, because nuclear war would irrevocably poison or destroy this planet's entire biosphere, killing any hypothetical survivor, human or animal, who would inevitably suffer glandular problems similar to those already reported among certain extraterrestrial specimens. They do have the technical ability to alter the planet's axial tilt slightly. Rigelian technology is far more advanced than ours, but only in specific domains. Their superiority is not total. They manipulate us through our laziness and ignorance. According to the channeled material, working under the instructions of humanoids from Rigel, certain human agencies and former Nazi scientists have developed and deployed malignant strains of bacteria and viruses, including claims about AIDS. From the fascist perspective allegedly driving these collaborations, the goal is to exterminate portions of the population deemed undesirable. From the Rigelian perspective, the goal is said to be to decimate humanity sufficiently that survivors will accept control by the Rigelians. The Rigelians are described as nearly devoid of emotion but able to obtain a second-hand high by telepathically tuning into intense human emotions, ecstasy or agony. This is portrayed as both a biochemical and psychological process, not primarily sadistic. Many Rigelians are reportedly oblivious to distinctions between positive and negative mental states. Certain unusual human sexual practices are said to attract these entities. The text asserts that occult figures such as Aleister Crowley were effective conduits for attracting such energies and served more as mediums than magicians. His extreme acts supposedly produced intense emotions that these entities could feed upon vicariously. Another group, nicknamed the Blondes or Procyon, are described as averaging about 6 to 6.5 feet tall and originating from a double star system associated with Procyon. The Procyon are portrayed as generally benign toward humanity, though strongly disapproving of human cruelty toward one another. The material claims that some human governments secretly allied with Procyon hereditary enemies to obtain weaponry, and that such alliances complicate diplomatic or ethical engagement. The Procyon are described as having engaged in long-term genetic experiments involving artificial insemination and selective breeding with primitive humans. The purported aim was to combine larger cranial capacity with human lung capacity and respiratory systems better tuned to Earth's atmosphere. The sudden emergence of Cro-Magnon humanity is attributed in this account to such intervention, and a substantial proportion of present-day humans is said to descend from mixed ancestry produced by those efforts. According to the text, crossbreeding with extraterrestrials has continued at various stages of human development. Some interventions are framed as corrective attempts to stabilize earlier experimental outcomes. By contrast, the Rigelians allegedly perform genetic experiments on humans but are hindered by the great biological differences between our species, making direct interbreeding impractical. When Procyon telepathically tune into humans, they are said to experience our emotions vicariously, but their motivation is characterized as investigative and corrective rather than exploitative. They purportedly seek to understand the biological and psychological ramifications of interventions and to help humanity reach its positive potential. Their concern, the channel says, extends to the welfare of the entire biosphere, not only to humanity. The material warns that relying on extraterrestrials to clean up the damage humans have caused, for example by dismantling nuclear arsenals or remediating environmental destruction, is a mistake. It is argued that humans must solve their self-created problems. No external savior will absolve us of responsibility. The text also criticizes the tendency to cast extraterrestrials as saviors or devils as a psychological evasion of accountability. Channeled commentary attributed to a Procyon watcher emphasizes that tyranny recurs across planets and civilizations. Revolutions that overthrow one tyrant often give rise to another. The guidance offered is inward. Individuals seeking to change governance must first gain mastery of themselves, otherwise political efforts will fail or reproduce the same patterns of oppression. The watcher stresses discernment, restraint, and self-mastery as prerequisites for effective action against hostile entities. Misuse of force risks becoming what it opposes. The account also presents a mythic history. Tall blonde Rigelians once seeded Earth and were the progenitors of Cro-Magnon humans. A subsequent Great War on Rigel allegedly produced genetically damaged short greys who later attacked the Procyon colony. Radiation and glandular damage are used to explain physiological and psychological differences among these extraterrestrial groups. The Rigel-Procyon conflict is described as remaining volatile, with ongoing hostilities between Rigel and Sirius systems and a Cold War-like standoff between Rigel and Procyon. Both Greys and Blondes are said to possess the technical ability to disintegrate matter into energy and reconstitute it, enabling them to pass through walls and abduct people. Greys reportedly can telepathically or technologically camouflage themselves as Blondes. Some Blondes are claimed to be physically real but physically restrained or controlled by Greys. Abductees who are not returned, the text claims, are used for breeding and are generally treated well according to the channel. The account warns that hybridization carries biological risks. Interbreeding with extraterrestrials could introduce novel bacterial or viral strains dangerous to either species, due to differing immune systems. Blondes, because of a claimed common ancestry with humans, are portrayed as the most compatible interbreeding partners, whereas grays are considered genetically more distant and unstable. The grays attempt to prevent the blondes they have taken captive from escaping and exploring terrestrial humanity unsupervised. However, a substantial number of blondes have escaped and are now intermingling with humans. In the United States alone, there are over 1,000 individuals, not including those in other nations, who are the offspring of intergalactic or extragalactic beings and terrestrial humans. Of these, about 200 know, or at least suspect, their origin. All humans carry some extraterrestrial genetic background. Without it, the only life on this planet would be primitive flora and fauna, never evolving beyond apes, worms, starfish, sponges, and similar organisms. These original life forms were deliberately seeded in Earth's primordial oceans as the preliminary phase of planetary development. This should be clear to anyone who studies Cambrian and Precambrian fossil records. Throughout both recorded history and prehistory, there has been ongoing genetic manipulation and interbreeding with humanity. The purpose has been to refine human traits by removing more primitive simian characteristics. At times, these experiments in interbreeding have succeeded, while at other times they have ended in failure. Still, the species Homo sapiens would not exist at all without persistent genetic intervention and hybridization. These efforts will continue, unless humanity destroys itself through nuclear war, until humans fulfill their true potential by learning to utilize the full capacity of the brain, rather than just a fraction. The human skull contains internal crystalline structures, resonant liquid crystal colloidal membranes. These membranes respond to the spectrum of the universal intelligent matrix, reacting to standing wave interference patterns. Some argue that humans are physically incapable of operating interdimensional craft due to cranial development that limits the ability to form mind linkages. A mind link allows a group of beings to become of one mind and focus technology, enabling both themselves and their equipment to shift to other domains, densities, or locations. This leads directly to the subject of light-based technology. Advanced civilizations use crystalline matrices to modulate energy, consciousness, and matter. Such capabilities are common among species not native to Earth. Many humans have been, and continue to be, altered genetically and psychically through exposure to these technologies. The Andreasson affair is one example, illustrating the technical reach and methods being applied to humanity, though the ultimate purpose remains unclear. The human body itself is a resonant bioelectronic crystalline structure, highly susceptible to imposed energetic patterns. These can enhance or suppress learning, strengthen or weaken biological health, and alter consciousness. The science behind this reflects a deep understanding of universal mechanics and reality systems. Increasingly, humans are beginning to rediscover these truths. Knowledge of spiritual function appears to go hand in hand with knowledge of crystal and liquid light technologies. Most species using these technologies are of at least fifth density. They can elevate human vibratory resonance, temporarily raising biological systems into higher densities in order to apply the technology effectively. Underground chambers containing green cylindrical seats, similar to those described in the Andreasson affair, have been reported, including one located near Las Vegas, Nevada. These chambers are designed to shift the human body into higher resonance states, conduct interactions, and then return the body to normal density. The following information was taken from a report called Project Beta, which Paul Benwitz reportedly submitted to the United States government in 1983. Included in this report were his recommendations for dealing with the alien presence. The government, already aware of the situation, chose to ignore them. As publicity grew surrounding Paul's discoveries, he withdrew from public contact and avoided communication with anyone, and as of May 1988, he has reportedly begun engaging with people again. Dr. Paul F. Benwitz, president of Thunder Scientific Laboratories in Albuquerque, is referenced in multiple documents. He claimed to have taken approximately 4,400 feet of 8mm in video film of UFOs operating near the Manzano nuclear weapons storage area. From his vantage point, he had a clear, unobstructed view of the facility. Benwitz also reported that while some of his film was being processed by Kodak, sections containing close-up shots of UFOs were removed. In one case, a particular reel of film took 2 months to be returned, missing several feet of footage and coming back on different negatives than those originally submitted. The following material is an excerpt of Project Beta. Only 16 of the 17 original pages are known to exist. Despite grammatical and formatting errors, the report is considered a detailed account of alien activity observed by Benwitz near the Manzano weapons storage area at Sandia Base in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It is the same report he presented to the US government, unaware that they already possess knowledge of alien activity, and that interactions with multiple extraterrestrial groups were already underway. In the NASA SAR imagery, there appears to be a black limousine parked on a ramp beside the alloy dome. Strangely, its dimensions match my own 1979 Lincoln Town Car exactly. Throughout the SAR photos, wheeled vehicles can be seen, cars, trucks, jeeps, and what look like snow cats or caterpillars. I do not believe the aliens use wheeled vehicles. Humans do. Numerous roadblocks extend northward through the US base along a wide, well-maintained gravel road, 30 feet across, nearly all-weather. Large turnaround areas and wheel tracks lead into launch preparation zones, where ships sit on pads marked with 26-foot X's. Nearby are service facilities, fuel tanks, and two domed, polygon-shaped high-voltage buildings on the east side of the road. There is also a foundation for what could be another building, a helicopter pad, or test stands, as well as visible human housing and a 32-foot wide water tank. At one of the main roadblocks, two large vehicles are parked across the road. Near this same location, another apparent black limousine is visible, with tracks leading to it from the west. All tracks and vehicles measure consistently with known US military equipment. If I had to guess, the limousines are likely CIA. This description is only a partial inventory of what was observed on September 8, 1978, provided here as evidential material for review and confirmation. The road in question, unknown to local tribal leaders, reservation police, or even the State Highway Patrol, extends from a small northern trail. From the trail, one has direct line of sight to the large plateau and the alloy dome. This road, located deep within the Jicarilla Reservation, measures precisely 12,868 feet, airline distance, to the alien basing area. That facility appears to cover roughly 3 kilometers in width and 8 kilometers in length. The base itself seems to house several alien cultural groups, now collectively referred to as Unity in the alien computer language. Based on current UFO activity over the region, more ships are either already inbound or expected soon. I will not attempt here to speculate on how initial US contact was established, what transpired, or how many aliens may have escaped. The aliens have communicated their version of events, but if true, the account is deeply unsettling. Much detail is omitted here for later discussion, but the key point is this: constant computer communications, fully online as of February this year, have provided an ongoing record of alien activities, morale, and an unprecedented window into their psychology and motives. This data is invaluable. Implants. No individual is allowed to interact with the aliens without receiving an implant, followed by memory erasure of the procedure. Communication, aside from binary code or computer interface, cannot occur without it. This poses an immediate danger to any military or government personnel who have visited the base. The implants serve multiple purposes: telepathic communication, behavioral control, and surveillance. Individuals under alien programming display no memory of the experience afterward, effectively becoming walking cameras and microphones whenever the aliens choose to activate them. X-rays and scans reveal the implants, often accompanied by faint scars in identical locations. Universality of implants. All aliens, whether human-like or not, also carry implants. Without them, no communication is possible. This suggests that anyone claiming to speak with aliens telepathically has almost certainly been implanted. Many such individuals may attribute their abilities to psychic talent, not realizing the information is being transmitted through the implant. Alien logic. The aliens demonstrate flawed reasoning by Earth standards. Their logic system appears rigid and vulnerable to errors. Far from infallible, they exhibit weaknesses greater than those of ordinary humans. For them, the mind is central, and this is their greatest vulnerability. Trust issues. The aliens cannot be trusted. If one were considered a friend, that loyalty would vanish under threat, with the alien siding against their human counterpart. Computer analysis confirms these tendencies, which pose a danger greater than any human adversary, including known geopolitical rivals. Beam weapons. The aliens typically kill using directed energy beams. On humans, the wound manifests as a 3 to 4 centimeter purple circle, often on the shoulders if attacked from behind. The same pattern is observed in cattle mutilations. Cattle mutilations, although not detailed here, evidence suggests the aliens harvest biological material from both humans and cattle. This material is combined, sometimes using ovum from abducted women, through genetic engineering to create what the aliens call organs. These humanoid constructs reportedly mature into usable entities within about 1 year. Solution. While there may be no immediate cure to the alien threat, action is necessary before time runs out. They are abducting and implanting people nightly. Each implanted individual can be controlled or monitored at will. Their weapons, though formidable, have inherent weaknesses, especially against environmental conditions like rain, which can disable their energy beams. Their craft rely on stored energy that must be replenished. Deprived of water, power, or recharging facilities, they would eventually fail. Our best course is to exploit these weaknesses and employ new weaponry designed to penetrate their defenses. This report outlines only a fraction of the observed vulnerabilities. With coordinated effort, their power can be neutralized. All electrical and electronic equipment must be hardened using specific techniques before deployment. Through ongoing computer-based communication and interaction, methods of countering this eavesdropping ability have been tested and proven effective. Psychological shock is highly effective against the alien. Immediate and decisive action, or deliberate deviations from expected patterns, can create maximum disruption. Because of the alien's psychological profile, many operations can be conducted openly with no attempt at secrecy. Diversions may be used to further disorient them. They will often attempt harassment but rarely initiate open attacks. The prime weakness is mental. Aliens rely on thought control and manipulation as their perceived strength. When turned against them through reverse psychological tactics, computer language, and weapon-induced disorientation, this becomes their greatest liability. Their ships, while technologically advanced, lack stability due to their flight method. Energy charge distribution can be disrupted. The alien will fight if cornered, but their preference is avoidance. Estimates suggest as many as 50,000 aliens may currently operate within Earth's ecosphere and near space. The aliens respect only force. Negotiation, compromise, or treaties are meaningless. They cannot be trusted under any circumstances. The aliens must either be destroyed in place or forced to leave Earth immediately. No alternatives can be permitted. He was first told about the base, and he in turn informed the Office of Special Investigations, OSI, of the Air Force. Following this, he was asked to deliver several classified briefings to high-ranking Air Force officials, including wing-level commanders and others such as Edwards. After one such presentation, a wing commander personally took a helicopter to the site and photographed it. He reported seeing saucers on the ground, along with a large cone-shaped structure. According to him, the larger craft descend and dock onto the cone, which fits into an opening in their underside. Inside the cone is an elevator that travels nearly a kilometer underground into the facility. From the helicopter, he claimed one could see aliens moving around the base and boarding vehicles. The smaller vehicles were rectangular, wheel-less, and levitated just above the ground. They were so reflective that they did not appear in color photographs, though they were visible in black and white film. Beam weapons were observed floating at key locations around the base. An access road, unknown to locals, leads directly into the installation. Infrared photos taken from about 1,400 feet revealed a 36-foot wide government-built highway, telemetry trailers, and several structures, including 5-sided buildings capped with domes. Numerous guard posts and stakes line the perimeter, as well as several launch domes. Near one dome, he spotted a black limousine, with another parked some distance away. Careful measurements showed the limousine to be identical in length to his own Lincoln Town car, leading him to believe these vehicles belonged to the CIA. A blue van was also seen. He was warned that these limousines were highly dangerous, capable of running trespassers off the road, and that at least one person had already been killed this way. To the north of the base was a launch site with 2 wrecked ships, each about 36 feet long with wings, alongside oxygen and hydrogen tanks. 4 cylindrical craft, similar to the Socorro type, were also seen, 2 of them carrying objects while in flight. The entire operation appeared to be part of a government-alien agreement involving technology exchange. In return for access and cooperation, the U.S. received atomic-powered ships, using plutonium, and other advanced systems. The Cash Landrum case was linked to one such craft. During that incident, the ship's doors jammed open, releasing neutron radiation. The government, it is said, has quietly paid the victims' medical bills. Plutonium refueling for these craft reportedly takes place at Los Alamos. Traced aerial photographs date the Dulce base back to at least 1946, with visible construction beginning around 1948 and major expansion documented by 1952. Locals were told that the access road was built under a lumber contract. He even claimed to possess photographs of a beam weapon firing in 2 directions, necessary, he argued, for saucer propulsion since reaction forces would otherwise impede the craft. He calculated saucer speeds at up to 15,900 miles per hour, and asserted that some pilots were affiliated with the NSA. According to him, aliens had possessed atomic propulsion for over 40 years, with craft powered by electric charges derived from crystal semiconductors and superlattice systems. At present, he estimated 6 to 10 alien craft regularly operate over the area, with occasional concentrations of up to 100. They often hide in cumulus clouds, leaving black spots where nitrogen nitride forms, effectively burning holes in the clouds. He further stated that the beings represented at least 6 different cultures, some originating from binary star systems like Zeta Reticuli, others from as far as 22 light-years away. 3 alien craft were said to be in permanent orbit around Earth at 50,000 kilometers altitude. To communicate, he reportedly developed a matrix vocabulary of 26 words with the aid of a computer. He claimed saucers were limited to operations within Earth's atmosphere. On the subject of cattle mutilations, he asserted the aliens were harvesting DNA to manufacture humanoids. He obtained images of alien video screens showing these creations, some animal-like, some nearly human, and some small-bodied with disproportionately large heads. Embryos were grown and trained for about a year before becoming operational. When they died, their parts were recovered and recycled. In 1979, a conflict over weapons triggered the closure of the base. More than 100 U.S. personnel were involved, with 66 reportedly killed and 44 escaping. Despite this, helicopters continued frequenting the site, and humanoid embryos were still being transported elsewhere. He claimed abduction victims were often of medium to low intelligence, selected through electromagnetic scanning. Implants were inserted, tissue samples taken, and individuals programmed as unwitting operatives. Such people often displayed a peculiar look in their eyes and an odd smile, though they carried no memory of their experiences. He noted scars on the necks of abductees, sometimes old and easily detected, sometimes fresh and nearly invisible. The aliens, he said, had become reckless. He himself had been paralyzed 4 times and injected by alien hypodermics at least 250 times, a fact he said was medically verified. Regarding secrecy, he described sending multiple rolls of film to Kodak for processing. When they were returned, 9 feet of close-up UFO footage was missing. Later, those very images appeared in a top-secret NSA file under the code name Aquarius. He concluded the agency had confiscated and duplicated the film before returning altered versions. The Dulce base, located 24 miles northwest of town on a mesa overlooking the area, bore a striking resemblance to the mountain depicted in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He speculated the film may have been a controlled disclosure effort. According to him, the U.S. government had traded biological access, mutilations, abductions, and embryo collection for alien technology, including nuclear flight systems, beam weapons, and thought beam telepathic systems requiring implants. He insisted this arrangement was unconstitutional, a violation of personal rights, and warned that once a person had been tampered with by the aliens, they were never the same.